Okay, though I think everybody's here today, which is nice to have full class. Well, maybe one or two. Okay, anyway. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. So chapter 7, page 32 of our Sansino, Joshua, and Judges. Vayim alu b'nei Yisrael ma'al b'cherem, vayikach Achan ben Karmi ben Zabdi ben Zerach lemate Yehuda min hacherem, vayichar af Adonai b'vnei Yisrael. Okay. The children of Israel committed a trespass concerning the devoted thing. So Yima'alu and Ma'al are hard to translate it without understanding that it's a particular context that we have to, it's in a religious context. And so Yim'alu and Ma'al, so I'm just looking at Alter's translation, and he skips over the V'yimalu Ma'al, and he just focuses on the Cherem. So, in other words, they violated the Cherem. The Cherem being what you are absolutely forbidden from doing. And so the children of Israel committed a trespass of this Cherem. And what was it? Vayikach Achan. So Achan, the son of Karmi, the son of Zavdi, the son of Zerach, of the tribe of Judah, he took from the Cherem, and God was very, very angry at the people of Israel. Okay, what did he take? What did he do? Why would God be angry, not just with him, but with the entire people of Israel? Remember, they had just conquered the city of Jericho, and they were told not to take anything from the city. Okay, everything was to be utterly destroyed. So apparently, just a second, Jules. So apparently, Achan violated that cherem. Yes, Jules. Jules. Oh, okay. I look like you have your hand up. That's all. Okay. So Achan, we're told, is the son of Karmi, the son of Zavdi, the son of Zerach. This is interesting because Judah, from chapter 37 or 38 in the book of Genesis, Judah is the story of Judah and Tamar. And so when Tamar, so that story in which Judah's son is married to Tamar and he dies, and then the next son dies, and then Tamar has to wait around for the third son to come along and be of age to be able to marry him. Judah, her father-in-law, is delaying that process, so she dresses up as a prostitute, has relations with Judah, and then so the child, there are twin sons born of that relationship, Peretz and Zerach. This is so Zerach, the son of Judah and Tamar. So this is only then, if that's the Zerach, then it is only 3 generations from the story of Judah and Tamar until the Exodus from Egypt, going through the desert and getting to Jericho, if that's the same Zerach. Okay.
And wouldn't it be, since wasn't Peretz the one who speared the idolaters?
That was Pinchas.
Oh, that was Pinchas. Okay, never mind.
Yes. So that's a different tribe entirely. He's a grandson of Aaron. this is, so just nobody comments on his genealogy, and maybe the Zerach here, his great grandfather may just be named for the original Zerach from the Genesis story. Okay, so we don't know what he took, and we don't know what he did. So now it's totally forgotten, we think, and we go on. Vayishlach Yehoshua anashim miricho ha'ai asher im beit aven mikedem leveit el vayomer aleihem lemor alu viraglu et haaretz v'ya'alu ha'anashim v'yiraglu et ha'ai. So Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Beit Aven, east of Beit El, and he said to them, go up and spy out the land. And the men went up and they spied out Ai. So it's east of Bethel. So we have to remember that Jericho is in this flat valley that is below sea level near the Dead Sea. And in order to get into the rest of Israel, you have to go up the mountain, the Judean mountains, to get up to where the rest of Israel is. I mean, you have this valley. You could go up the Jordan River and just stay in that valley, but there are mountains and hills to your left in order to get into central Israel. So it's possible they went north a little bit, and maybe it's less steep to get into central Israel there, because Bethel, if it's the Bethel today, which is in the West Bank and it's a Jewish community, it is about a half hour north of Jerusalem. So if you wanted to look at the map in the back of the Eitz Chaim, if you have that, let me just look at it myself just to see where we are here. Okay. So this is, wait, I'm just looking at the third map, which would be from around the time of the book of Joshua. Okay. Yeah. So there is a direct route. You're not going to be able to see it here. You just have to have the Eitz Chaim yourself. But there is a direct route from Jericho to Bethel, but it's steep mountains to get there. So I'm only bringing this up just because I'm just wondering the military strategy here of being able to attack there without the people of Ai, knowing that people are coming. Right, so it's not an easy thing to do. Yes, Bess?
Asimov says that Ai was 12 miles northwest of Jericho, and 2 miles further still to the northwest was Bethel. And Bethel, well, we know that was the Jacob's Ladder business.
Right.
They were under common rule or acted in alliance against the Israelites.
Right. Yeah, so 12 miles, but it's a very steep 12 miles. Okay, that's all I'm saying, that there's steep mountains there. So anyway, he sent people to spy out around Ai to report back, what's going on, what should we be expecting? Verse 3, Vayashuvu el Yehoshua, Vayomru elav, al ya'al kol ha'am, ke'alpaim ish, o ki shloshet alafim ish ya'alu, v'yaku et ha'ai, al tiyaga shama et kol ha'am ki ma'at hema. So they came back to Joshua and they said to him, don't bring up the whole people. Just 2,000 or 3,000 men should go up and they can defeat Ai. Don't bother, or Tiyaga, don't weary, don't bother there, all of the people, because they're few there. So Ai is not firmly, it's not a well-populated town. We don't need the whole people to go, just 2,000, 3,000 people. That should be more than sufficient to defeat Ai. Verse 4, Vaya'alu mina am shama. So they went up from the people there, Kishloshet alafim ish, about 3,000 men. Vayanusu lifnei anshe ha'ai. And they retreated, they ran away from before the people, the men of Ai. So the spies said, no problem, 3,000 people should do it. The 3,000 people went up and they retreated right away. Vayakumehem anshe ha'ai ki shloshim b'shisha ish. And the people of the men of Ai smote or killed about 36 men. Vayirdefum, and they chased them lifnei hasha'ar, before the gate, ad hashivarim, until Shivarim. Don't know where Shivarim is. Vayakum b'morad vayimas levav ha'am vayehi lamayim. So they smote them in the descent. So again, that it's steep hill country there. So as they're running down the hill, the people of Ai are chasing after them and killing them as they're going down the hill. And the people's heart melted like water. Yeah, go ahead.
You would
Yes.
think that Joshua would know better than to trust scouts' advice.
Well, he trusted them, right? Okay, but yes, so he was of the original scouts in the Torah, but then he sent scouts to Jericho, and they reported back honestly. We have a whole long story about that from the beginning of the book of Joshua. But here, so okay, you should trust them again. Now, but I don't think that the spy's story was not trustworthy. I think because I read ahead, I think that the fact that they retreated is because of what Achan did with the Cherem. This is punishment for Achan taking stuff that was Cherem. Okay, so God is angry at the entire people of Israel for the actions of one guy, Achan. And then seemingly the story abruptly shifts. Well, this isn't an abrupt shift. This is the story to show how the people are being punished for what Achan did. All right, so we don't know that. None of us knows that because only I read ahead. But at the end of the story, it'll be clear. Okay, so the spies didn't do anything wrong. They were accurate, but nobody knew that God was angry at them. Okay, so 3,000 people should have been more than enough, but God's anger was displayed by making the people, creating the situation such that the people of Ai were able to defeat or to cause the Israelites to run away in fear and to have 36 of them killed. Okay, 6. Vayikra Yehoshua simlotav. Joshua rent his garment. In modern Hebrew, a simla is a dress. In Torah, in biblical Hebrew, a simla is just a garment that I think a man or a woman can wear. So it's just a generic term for a garment or clothes, as it says here. Vayipol al panav artza, he fell on his face on the ground as a sign of prayer, right? Not because he fainted or anything. He's praying, Lifnei Aron Adonai ad ha'areth, before the ark of God until evening. He rent his garment, bowed prostrate on the ground in front of the ark, and was there until the evening. Who v'ziknei Yisrael, him and the elders of Israel did this. V'ya'alu afar al rosham, and they put dirt on their heads as a sign of abject apology, sorry, deep prayer to God. Right? In other words, God told Joshua and the people that I'm going to make people run away before you. You'll settle the land of Israel, no problem. So here's their first, right? So they had no problem with Jericho, circled the town, blew the shofar, Jericho was taken. major city that they were able to conquer. So now, piddling little Ai, right? Only 3,000 people. You don't need the whole people to defeat Ai. 3,000 people run away in fear. 36 of them. So that's what? 1% of the people of the people who went there, of the 3,000, get killed by the people of Ai. What's going on? So that's why they're praying to God. Vayomer Yehoshua, Joshua says, Aha, Adonai Elohim, Lama he avarta ha'avir et ha'am hazeh et ha'yarden latet otanu biyad ha'emori laha'avidenu velu ho'alnu v'neshev be'ever ha'yarden. So he prayed, aha. Aha is not the English aha. Aha is more of a cry of gestalt. Oh, it's snowing.
Oy vey.
Yeah, like an oy vey. I'm just looking out my window and it's snowing. Aha, it's snowing. Aha is not, it's more of an oy vey. It's a prayerful oy vey. Okay, so it's that kind, using the oy vey kind of as like, oh my, like it's coming from his kishkis, the aha. God, oh God, this isn't the first time in the Bible this happens, but when Adonai is followed by Yud He Vav He, you see that the vowels under Yud He Vav He there in verse 7 are the vowels that correspond to the word Elohim. This is the rabbis say we're not supposed to say Adonai, Adonai twice, because it might give the impression that we're praying to two gods. So to show that we're not, we just change the pronunciation when Adonai and Yud He Vav He follow each other. So it happens a lot in the books of the prophets. So often in a Haftarah, this is the case. So in printed editions, the person chanting the Haftarah, person studying the Bible, will see the vowels this way under Adonai and Yud He Vav He, and know to pronounce it Elohim. Okay, so Adonai Elohim, God, oh God, why did you cause us to cross why did you cause this people to cross the Jordan to give us over to the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? Or, to cause us to perish, it says. Would that we would have been content to stay on the other side of the Jordan. So why'd you do this? Be Adonai. Ma omar acharei asher hapach Yisrael oref lifnei oivav. Tell me, God, what should I say after this turn of events? Hafach, to turn, or to turn 180 degrees. That we turned our backs. Oref is our neck, the back of the neck, before our enemies. Tell me why. What happened that we have this complete opposite of what happened in Jericho? That why did we have to go running on our running away in fear? Vayishmeu haKenaani, verse 9, v'chol yoshvei haaretz v'nasabu aleinu v'hichritu et shemenu min haaretz umata aseh l'shimcha gadol. So now the Canaanites are going to hear, and all the inhabitants of the land, and they'll surround us, and they'll cut off our name from the land. And what can we do? What will you do for your great name? In other words, we rely on you, God. We've prayed to you. What are we supposed to do now that clearly you've given up on us? That's what it seems like, because we've caused us to run. Now we're going to be surrounded, and we won't be. What's this going to do to your great name? Now Moses uses that argument too. Like, why bother? Why punish the people when your name will not be exalted anymore? If you chose us, we can exalt your name. But if you defeat us, we can't exalt your name anymore. So Joshua's using this same argument. You're going to cause the Canaanites to surround us, and then your name won't be great anymore. Verse 10, Vayomer Adonai el Yehoshua. God said to Joshua, Kum lach, lama ze'ata nofel al panecha. Get up. Why have you fallen down on your face? Chata Yisrael, v'gam avru et briti, asher tziviti otam. So Israel has sinned, and they have transgressed my covenant that I have commanded them. V'gam lakhu min hacherem, and they've also taken from the cherem. V'gam ganvu, v'gam kichashu, v'gam samu bichleihem. They've also taken from the cherem. They've also stolen. They've also dissembled, whatever dissembled means. Kichashu, verse 11. Let's just see. Denied it. Yeah, that makes sense. They've denied, that is, denied the covenant. At v'gam samu bichleihem, and they have even put it among their own stuff. They've made the loot that the cherem stuff, they've made their own. V'lo yuchlu b'nei Yisrael lakum lifnei oivehem, and so as a result, that's what is understood here, which isn't said. The people of Israel will not be able to rise up before their enemies. Oref. In other words, they can't. No. Lifnei Oref yifnu lifnei oivehem. They'll turn their backs before their enemies. Ki hayu lacherem, because they become themselves a cherem. Lo osif liyot imachem, I won't continue to be with you. Im lo tashmidu acherem mikir bechem, unless you destroy the cherem from within your midst. Okay, so
Can you define harem again, please?
cherem is the object that is totally forbidden. But cherem is also the term used for the type of battle that the Israelites are supposed to have with the indigenous Canaanite population to totally annihilate them. To totally annihilate is cherem. So it's hard then to translate. So the people who are being annihilated are cherem, just like the property of the people who are to be annihilated is also cherem. So it's totally off limits, but off limits in a way that if you touch it, you're going to be punished, as we see from this story, right? One person, Achan, took cherem from Jericho, and now the entire people are being punished for it. And so much so, not only did 36 people get killed by the men of Ai, but God is threatening to give up on the entire people of Israel for the action of this one guy, Achan. Okay, 13, Kum, Kadesh et ha'am, get up and sanctify the people, Va'amarta hitkadshu lamachar, and say, you should be sanctified for tomorrow. Ki cho amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael, cherem bekir becha Yisrael, lo tuchal lakum lifnei oivecha, ad hasirchem acherem mikir bechem. Because this is what God, the God of Israel, said. There is cherem in your midst, O Israel. You will not be able to rise up before your enemies until you get rid of the cherem from your midst. V'nikravtem baboker l'shiftechem. In the morning, approach your tribes. V'haya hashevet asher yilkedenu Adonai yikrav lamishpachot. V'hamishpacha asher yilkedena Adonai tikrav lebatim, v'habayit asher yilkedenu Adonai yikrav lagvarim. So approach in the morning your tribes, and it will be the tribe that God takes. Let me again, you look at the altar for this, for the Yilkedenu. That the tribe on which God sets his lot. So it's kind of like setting a lottery. God is, it's going to seem random that you're approaching all the tribes, the entire camp of Israel, and like you're wandering aimlessly, and then somehow you're going to be suddenly directed to one tribe. And then within that tribe, you're going to be directed to families, and of the families to one family. And then from that one family among all their houses, you're going to come to the men there in those houses. In verse 15, V'hayahanilkad b'cherem yisaref ba'esh. And the one whose cherem, the lot of the cherem has fallen, will be burnt in fire. Him and all that he has, ki avar et brit Adonai v'chi asa nevala b'Yisrael, because he transgressed the covenant of God and he did a wanton deed. But I think it's more a disgusting thing. Nevala is the altar says a scurrilous thing. We'll look at the commentary soon, but I just want to get through the translation of this. So that's
Why does he say like the opening was one guy and then they're looking for one guy, but God says they have transgressed, they have stolen,
right. So the action of the one person affects the entire community, and if one person is allowed to get away with it, perhaps, I don't know, because the book of Joshua doesn't say why one person's action is causing the entire people to be punished. But again, the entire people is not punished. What happened was 36 of them got killed by the people of Ai. That was one punishment. And now the entire people is going to see the power of God to be able to find the one guy who transgressed.
I get that, but what I don't get is why God says they, he's speaking of all of them. They have transgressed, they have, I mean, I understand
because it was allowed to happen, I guess. Maybe, or I don't know. We don't know anything about how Achan took it.
Enablers, yeah.
Did he tell his family, I'm going to take this? Did he tell them after he took it? Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So other people must have known what Achan did and didn't do anything about it. So 16, Vayashkem Yehoshua baboker. So Joshua got up in the morning, but Vayashkem means got up early. Vayakrev et Yisrael lishvatav, and brought together the people by their tribes. Vayilached Shevet Yehuda, and the tribe of Judah was chosen by lot. It's the same word here from the Yilkedu above. So the tribe of Judah is the one that's chosen here. And just an aside here, the tribe of Judah biblically is the best tribe. We're Jews, meaning we're from the tribe of Judah. Okay, so Judah is supposed to be the best, not supposed to do anything wrong. First thing the first wrong thing that happens in the land of Israel after Jericho happens by somebody from the tribe of Judah. So that I think we need to keep that in mind for how this affects the tribe of Judah as biblical history continues. Okay. Vayakrev et Mishpachat Yehuda, he brought close the family of Judah. Vayokod et Mishpachat Hazarchi, and he chooses by lot the Zarchi family. Remember, Achan is the son of Carmi, who is the son of Zavdi, who is the son of Zerach. So Zerach becomes the Zarchi family. Okay, And Vayakrev et Mishpachat Hazarchi Lagavarim, he brings all the men of the Zarchi family, Vayelachen Zavdi. So then he just selects the Zavdites out of the Zarchites, right? So the great grandfather is Zerach, the grandfather is David, right? What was his name? Yes, Zavdi, right? And then, so that's the grandfathers of Achan. Vayakrevet Beitola Gvarim. So then you take the men of the Zavdis. Vayelachen Achan ben Carmi ben Zavdi ben Zerach Lamate Yehuda. So then finally the lot goes on to the specific man, Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zavdi, son of Zerach of the tribe of Judah.
Excuse me,
Yes.
wouldn't a scandalous act of immorality mean two people?
No. So what?
Like
No,
that.
this is not what this necessarily this cherem is. This cherem is taking the property of the city of Jericho, which was designated as off limits. So it was immoral to do that. It was against God's command to do that. It doesn't mean there's anything sexual in it. This was set apart as cherem.
Somebody had to know it besides Achan.
Well, so we'll see.
Well,
We'll see then, right? So the 19, Vayomer Yehoshua el Achan. Joshua said to Achan, Bini simna chavod ladonai Elohei Yisrael, v'ten lo todah, v'hagedna li me'asita, al techached mimeni. So Joshua said to Achan, my son, give glory to God, the God of Israel, and give him thanks. Okay, or here it says confess to God. Yeah, you could say that the word todah there could be confession. It's similar. The word for confession is vidui, vav daled hey. So there's a vav daled hey in todah. So maybe that's connected that way. So give him confession and tell me what you did. Don't hide anything from me. Verse 20. Vaya'an Achan et Yehoshua vayomar. Achan answered Joshua and said, Omna anochi chatati ladonai Elohei Yisrael. Verily, indeed, I have sinned to God, the God of Israel. V'chazot asiti. And this is what I did. Va'era v'shalal aderet shinar achat tova umatayim shekalim kesef ulashon zahav echad 50 shekalim mishkalo ve'echmedim ve'ekachem ve'hinam temunim ba'aretz betoch ha'ohali ve'hakesef tachteha. So this is what I did. So I saw among the booty a shinar mantle, but in altar it's a fur mantle, kind of like a what's that called? What's that collar? Like a fur collar, but there's a word for that. I don't know what that is, but that's apparently that's what it is. I saw this beautiful fur thing, and one very fine fur thing, and 200 shekels of silver, and a tongue of gold, or it says here a wedge, but the word is lashon, is tongue. So a wedge of gold, 50 shekels worth, and I coveted them. So I really like this fur collar. I really like the 200 shekels of silver, and I like this wedge of 50 shekels worth of gold. And so I coveted them, and I took them, and they are hidden in the ground in my tent, and the money is under it, or the silver is under it. So in other words, I dug a hole in my tent, put all that stuff there to hide it away. 22. Vayishlach Yehoshua malachim vayarutzu ha'ohela. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent. Vehine timuna ba'ohelo v'hakesef tachteha. And yeah, they found the treasure in the tent, and the silver was under it. Vayikachum mitocha ohel. They took it out of the tent. Vayevium el Yehoshua. And they brought it to Joshua. They'll call Bnei Israel, and to the entire people of Israel. Vayatzikum lifnei Adonai. And they laid them down before God. Like they put it out on display. Let me just check altar here for that word. Presented them to God. It kind of like, when the FBI finds drugs, and then they take a picture of everything that was taken, right? You have everything out in the open there, all the guns and whatnot. So kind of like that. Everything was laid out for display. 24, Vayikach Yehoshua et Achan ben Zerach. So Joshua took Achan, son of Zerach. So we're just getting to the great-grandfather here, skipping Kerem and Zeved, and just going right to his grandfather. Ve'et HaKesef, ve'et HaAderet, ve'et Lashon HaZahav. So Joshua took Achan, and the silver, and the collar, the fur collar, and the wedge of gold, ve'et Banav, ve'et Benotav, and took his sons and his daughters, ve'et Shoro, ve'et Chamoro, his ox and his donkey, Viet Sono and his flock of sheep, Viet Ohalo and his tent, Viet Kol Asher Lo and everything that he had, the whole Yisrael Imo and all of Israel with him, Vaya'alu Otam Emek Ahor. And he took them up to the valley of Ahor. We're going to get there in a minute about this valley of Ahor, because there's some comment about the word Ahor related to the name Achan. Okay, so Achan and Ahor could be the same name. Okay. Vayomer Yehoshua me achartanu. Joshua said, what have you troubled us with? The Ahor, Ayin Kaf Resh, is trouble. So Joshua says, what have you troubled us with? Yakarcha Adonai bayom hazeh. You have troubled God on this day. Vayirgemu oto kol Yisrael Evan. All of the people of Israel stoned him with stones. Vayisrafu otam ba'esh, and they burned them in fire. Vayiskalu otam ba'avanim, and stoned them with stones. So, all of the family got stoned. Achan got stoned as well, and they were all burned. I don't know how they were burned, but they were burned. Vayakimu alav gal avanim gadol, and they put on him a large stone mountain, or a large pile of stones, ad hayom hazeh, until this day. Vayashav Adonai mecharon apo, and God was relieved of his anger. Al kain kara shem amakomahu emek achor ad hayom hazeh, and therefore the name of that place is called the Valley of Achor until this day. So, an important story about the trespass of Achan and the result of that. So let's take a look at the commentary here, and we'll look at altar as well. So back on page 32, the children of Israel committed, though only one man sinned, the trespass is ascribed to the whole people in accordance with the doctrine of collective responsibility. Trespass, Hebrew ma'al, a technical term for the misappropriation of property which was in a sacred category. See Leviticus, it doesn't say what chapter, maybe it's chapter 15, but that talks about property that is designated to God. Once it's designated, you can't touch it. The touching of designated property, of consecrated property, the sin of touching that is called ma'al. Okay. Achan, by changing the last letter, the name is altered to Achar, the troubler, in 1 Chronicles 2:7. Achar, the troubler of Israel, who committed a trespass concerning the devoted thing. Evidently, the incident lingered for a long time in the memory of the people. Right, so we don't know when the book of Chronicles was written. We don't know when the book of Joshua was written. But like I said, the valley is called the Valley of Achar. So maybe the name of the person changed from Achan to Achar. So, in the oral tradition, as a story got passed down generation to generation, change a letter a little bit, so the person becomes synonymous with the valley, or the valley becomes synonymous with the person. Okay, so which came first, Achan or the valley's name? We don't know.
You said that it was a story that got passed on. King Saul would have clearly known that story then.
Yeah,
I know he kept the king alive, but didn't he also take livestock and
no, he killed everything except the king.
he didn't take any gold? There
I
was
don't
no.
think so, no.
So the
No,
only
I think-
trespass he did was the keeping the king
Right,
alive.
that's right.
It's, nobody comments on the fact that his wife, that he didn't have a wife to tell him, don't take that,
I don't know.
don't bury
I
it.
don't know.
And
So let's go on with the commentary and see about it. I'm not sure there's much midrash. Most of the midrash that we have is all about the Torah and the people in the Torah. There's less midrash on Joshua and everything for the rest of the Bible. Okay, there is midrash on the book of Esther, lots of midrash on Esther and Haman and Achashverosh and Mordechai, lots of that, but there's not much midrash on Joshua and other historical books like this. I'm not sure why. Maybe because they're just not as well read as the other books, right? They're not as much a part of our liturgy. Like the book of Esther has a whole holiday, so people are more familiar with that, right? So I'm troubled by the collective responsibility if people did not know about it. Yes, that is troubling, Lori, but this is a theme of the Bible that we're all responsible for each other's actions. It's kind of like what Yom Kippur is, right? So Yom Kippur, we could potentially be punished for your sins, Lori, and everybody on this screen and every individual in the community, we're all responsible for. And we're praying for everybody on Yom Kippur so that we're all absolved and forgiven of our sins. So it's a theme that is part of our tradition that goes back here to Joshua and further back to the Torah. It's just what it is. That yeah, it would be easier if everybody was responsible for their own thing, but you have, if that's the case, we're all on our own, then that kind of, if you take that to the extreme, then so what if somebody in the community is poor? That's their problem. So what if somebody else has health issues? That's their problem. But no, that's not what the Torah is saying. That's not what the Bible is saying.
No, I love collective responsibility as an idea,
Yeah.
but poverty or health people would know about or should know about.
All right, so that's the point. People
Yeah.
should have known it. It's kind of hard to take a 50 shekel wedge of gold and 200 shekels of silver and a fur collar and do that surreptitiously without anybody knowing about it.
in their
Okay.
tent, it's pointed out that.
And it's in his
they got
tent.
The hole big enough for this, and
He has sons and daughters, so clearly he has a wife. So
he
yeah,
had a wife, he might have had a wife.
okay, but he's not living in a tent by himself. And you can't, it's kind of hard to schlep this all quietly from Jericho. Like what? Maybe he went at night. Okay, yeah, he could have gone at night, but still, it's kind of hard to do this. There's got to be sentries around, unless he paid off the sentries. I don't know. People are going to know about it. So yes. So we'll see. We'll see if the commentary says anything about that. Okay. Verse 2, page 33. On the road from the Jordan Valley to Bethel, there's a deep ravine to the north, an open valley to the west, and a flat plain to the south and east. This site is 2.5 miles southeast of Bethel, and on the road thence to the Jordan Valley. It's evidently the site of an ancient town with rock-cut tombs. Okay, trying to figure out geographically, like Beth shared from Asimov, whatever, trying to figure out where this is and what the contours of the land are. Beit Aven on the east side of Bethel. The place is also mentioned in chapter 18 of Joshua and also in 1 Samuel 13. Near Bethel, in a southeasterly direction, lies the village of Deir Dewan, in the vicinity of which are mounds of ancient ruins. One of the mounds is the site of Ai, another the site of Beit Aven. Okay, maybe. We don't know. Archaeologists, like in the 1800s, when people started, archaeologists started exploring the land of Israel, they had a Bible in their hand and said, oh, this must be what the Bible is talking about, right? You got Robinson's Arch, all the British explorers, British and French explorers who came, who, is that the case? We don't know. We really don't know, but if you want to try to prove the Bible historically, that's what these archaeologists are trying to do. So, okay, they put a place to the name from the Bible. But again, how clear is it? We don't know. We don't know. Unless they find a sign that says, this is the entrance to this particular town, not sure. Go up and spy out the land. Joshua had similarly sent spies before crossing the Jordan. This may have been his regular practice. But not all the people go up. We are perhaps to see the first working of the stolen cherem in this unjustified expression of confidence. That's right. So that, in other words, right, the people think they're confident, but they're maybe not aware that Achan had stolen this and that they're about to be punished. About 36 men, a small number even by ancient standards of warfares. But the Israelites were so imbued with the conviction of God's assistance in a holy war, a conviction strengthened by the supernatural fall of Jericho, that they saw in this incident more than a temporary setback. They interpreted it as the withdrawal of divine aid. Shevarim, not mentioned elsewhere and so far unidentified. The word means breakings, which may refer to pits and quarries in the neighborhood. The Septuagint, that's the LXX, and the Targum render until they had crushed them. Okay, so different versions of the Bible, the Aramaic translation and Greek translation, suggest that Shevarim is not a place name, but they change the yud into a vav. Ad hishbarum, until they broke them. Okay, so changing a yud to a vav is not a big deal, and that's how they deal with the problem of what's this place Shevarim. Rent his clothes and yeah. Bess?
Nothing to do with Shevarim from blowing the
No.
shofar?
No.
Okay.
No. Well, it just means that those blasts are broken blasts. So it's from the same root. An ancient mourning rite, rent his clothes, that is, in a modified form, it's still practiced by Jews. Fell to the earth in grief and supplication before God. The elders of Israel, the leaders of the people, perhaps they, with Joshua at their head, led the people in prayer. They put dust upon their heads. This too was a mourning rite, but is no longer part of the Jewish manner of mourning. Just a second here. Okay. The Amorites, see chapter 3, would that we had been content. The rabbis criticized Joshua for saying this. Not even his grief justified him. True, such words has been spoken before, but then it was by the people, whereas Joshua was the leader. Right, so why should he say you should have left us on the other side of the Jordan? Their backs, literally neck. Thy great name, we're on 35, thy glory, which is bound up with the survival of Israel. The Holy One, blessed be he, linked his name with Israel's. The defeat may lead to the profanation of God's name. Get thee up, arise to thee. A rabbi rendered get up. The fault is yours, interpreting the words as a divine rebuke to Joshua. The blame attached to him, either because he had imposed too great a trial upon the spiritually immature Israelites by devoting everything to God, or because he failed in his duty by not personally leading the attack. For God had said to Moses, charge Joshua, for he shall go over before this people. He shall cause them to inherit the land. Only when he leads them in person will he cause them to inherit the land. So maybe there's something that the rabbis are suggesting. Joshua should have been, he should have sent 3,000 people. He should have been one of those 3,000 to go. Israel, see on verse 1, has sinned. The reason for the defeat is not to be sought in me, but among the people. Joshua asked, but who of Israel? God retorted, am I an informer? Go and cast lots. So, okay, so why is the lots things happening here? Yeah, so that way Joshua can figure it out rather than God telling him who is the one. They have even transgressed my covenant. The rabbis see in this phrase an allusion to more serious sins committed by Achan. So there's midrash there in the Talmud on Sanhedrin 44a about the terrible things that Achan did. They are become accursed. They are themselves under the ban of destruction by the presence of the Cherem, working, so to speak, automatically in their midst. Sanctify, see on chapter 3, takes, the manner of selection is not stated. It was probably by lot. A midrash explains that the choice was made by use of the Urim and Tumim. So those special stones, kind of oracle stones, which we learned about just now in reading the weekly Torah portions. These are supposed to be stones that are supposed to answer certain questions that the Kohen or the leader would ask it. So perhaps who's the one who took the Cherem, asked the Urim and Tumim. Tribes, families, households, man by man. All Israel consists of a number of tribes, a tribe of several clans, a clan of several houses, a house of a number of individuals. Wrought a wanton deed. Moffat reproduces the Hebrew by committed a scandal. The noun nevalah usually denotes a scandalous act of immorality. The family of Judah. The singular is apparently used generically and means the tribe of Judah subdivided into families. Some Hebrew manuscripts point the consonants to be read as the plural. So that would be Mishpachot Yehuda, as opposed to Mishpachat Yehuda. Man by man, several Hebrew manuscripts have the reading by households. Give, I pray thee, glory to the Lord, by confession, so vindicating God's justice and righteousness. The rabbis derive from this passage that a criminal, after he has been proved guilty, must be exhorted to make a confession. So that also, that's 43b, just the page before the stories of Achan. So this story serves as a basis for how things are done later in rabbinic law. If you've done something wrong, you have to confess it first. Give the opportunity to confess. It's part of the opportunity for a criminal to repent. A goodly Shinar mantle. Shinar is a Hebrew name for Babylon, whose weaving was famous in the ancient East. The plain of Shinar was in early times celebrated for its gorgeous robes, which were of brilliant and various colors, generally arranged in figured patterns, probably resembling those of modern Turkey carpets, and then the colors were either interwoven in the loom or embroidered with the needle. Okay, so we don't know. That's just one guess by scholars from 100 years ago. And that's why we'll see Alter next time on this, why he suggests a fur mantle. A wedge of gold. This was common currency in the ancient world. Such a wedge, about 60 shekels in weight, was found in the excavations at Gezer. Shekels, the gold shekel would be about 250 grains troy, 253 grains troy, or a little more than 2 sovereigns in weight. The silver shekel, about 224 grains troy, a little more than the weight of an English half crown. Okay, that doesn't help us, but if we were familiar with English weights and measures from 100 years ago, we might be familiar with how much that weighed. I think it's a lot, but the son of Zerach, in verse 18, Achan is described as the great-grandson of Zerach, but Ben in Hebrew often means descendant. and his sons and his daughters. Rabbi Huna mentioned that they were taken there together with the rest of Israel. He construes in all of Israel with him as the object took, only to witness the execution. So in the Talmud, they didn't die, they just went to witness. The Mosaic law explicitly forbade the execution of children for their father's sin. If, however, the verse means that the children were also executed, they must have been punished as accomplices. Achan could hardly have dug the hole under his tent without their knowledge. The valley of Ahor, literally the valley of trouble, it is identified by some with the Wadi El Kelt, which leads down from the hill country to the Jordan Valley. By the way, that's a common route for youth groups who spend a long time in Israel, like summer. Wadi Kelt is a famous or popular hiking trail in the Judean mountains leading down to the Dead Sea area. So that is so why I never did it, but I know of other people who have done it. The execution was not carried out in Gilgal itself because there were no stones in the vicinity. There's hardly a stone to be found in the surrounding plain beyond the limits of this torrent bed, whereas the valley is full of pebbles and boulders of every size, which would account for its being chosen as a place of execution. Because I know we're over time, but we're almost done here with this commentary. The Lord shall trouble thee this day. The Mishnah comments only this day, but not in the hereafter, for all who confess, as Achan had done, have a share in the world to come. Sanhedrin, Mishnah, Sanhedrin 6:2, right from the same section, I think, that the Talmud was talking about, perhaps. With but few exceptions, confession and death were regarded in Judaism as expiation of one's misdeeds, and even the condemned criminal thereby secure his share in the afterlife. So if he confessed of his sin, then Achan, despite the grievous sin that he committed, is still granted a share in the world to come. A great heap of stones, both as a monument of disgrace and as a deterrent. Such cairns over the grave of criminals are still common in the East. Okay, we'll look at altar next time. So this story of Achan is an important story in the religious history of the people of Israel. And we'll look at altar next time and talk more about it next time.
Could I ask a quick question?
Go ahead, Lori.
Yeah, the idea of the world to come.
Yeah.
Was that part of Israelite religion at that
No.
point?
No, that's the rabbis.
That's the rabbis interpreting
adding
it.
commentary to the story of Achan. So don't worry reading the story that he's burned to death and stoned first. Don't worry, his soul achieved its place in the world to come.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Again, we'll talk more about this next time. Have a good rest of the day and Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Thank you.
shalom.